This is going to be number two of our pieces that we're doing today. So this morning we did this piece. Is a good old little version of Spider-Man, huge feet, big hands, big head, that kind of stuff. So that is number eight. That's day number eight's piece that we did. Again, these pieces that I'm doing right now are going to be for the new Littles book that'll have 31 plus pieces put into it, along with some bonuses like Rainbow Bright and The Little Mermaid. So all of the original pieces will be given out to those folks that go ahead and purchase the book. But today, what we're going to do, and at this moment, we're going to go ahead and knock out a Cable. So Cable is actually an old character that is from a group called X-Force, also from New Mutants. So he may be one of our new characters for the new Deadpool movie that we get to see coming up here soon. Really, really super cool character that Rob Liefeld and the folks at Marvel came up with, and just this old guy that kind of reminded me of like Clint Eastwood meets Arnold Schwarzenegger, just the baddest dude capable. And the one that I'm going to do today is going to be the little version, but with the big guns of old. So you're going to see the guns that it seems like nobody should ever be able to pick up. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and knock this out. If you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and put them up there. I will answer them. If you have any comments, please leave them in the box. And if you want to get a copy of this book, please click the link that's in the description box. It's only $20. That'll cover your shipping, cover your book, and I have some of these other original pieces left, so that'll get you one of those as well. So feel free, again, any questions, complaints, all that fun stuff, go ahead and message me. So without further ado, let's get going. All right, guys. So just trying to push through this guy as quickly as I can without messing it up too bad. But I thought I'd go ahead and jump in here because I know the silences can be kind of boring. So, who is Cable? Where did he come from? Well, he's a time traveling warrior. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't followed Cable in quite a while. I mean, it's been years um, since I followed him because I am because I'm a very visual person. I love certain artists and I like what they do. And I haven't seen Cable depicted. And let me preface this by saying I'm one of these people that love the original artist that did it. Um, I love Liefeld's take on it, and I've purchased every piece that he's done with Cable and everybody that's from X Force and all that kind of good stuff. But I will not take anything away from any of the artists that have depicted him as of late. But I'm more partial to the original Cable. So um, I'm one of the few people that will be out there and will ever admit this, but I loved the original takes that Liefeld used to do on his characters. And I know people grow and they change and whatnot, but I liked Liefeld's huge dudes with these obnoxious looking, muscles and stuff everywhere. That was the art style that I grew up with, and I loved it. And I miss the days of seeing people with all sorts of just straps and you know um, you'll see little packs here, guns that are just like you just they're insanity. I mean, I get that you got to have a sense of realism, but why not? I mean, it's a comic book. It doesn't have to be real. Um, so I miss a lot of that fun stuff that used to be in there. So I'm glad that they do have some artists out there that are you know taking those chances and going back to the days of not being completely practical. I mean, having fun with the art. That's what really made this kind of stuff jump out. And I remember back when I saw the New Mutants when Liefeld was doing it. I think it was number 80. Sorry, number 95 is the one that I saw. And I was in seventh or eighth grade, and this kid, a friend of mine, brought it into to school, and I just did nothing. I didn't even read the book. I just looked at the pages, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I wanted to be able to do this. This is great stuff. Um, and I remember these characters doing like these insane jumps, and they looked all weird. Looked like everybody had the ability to do the stuff like Spider-Man did, but they were all different. I mean, I saw a depiction of Gambit, and that was fun. So when I look at stuff nowadays, the people that I see doing it like that are people like Ramos. He is probably the closest that he is on this tear where he is just having fun. If anybody watches him draw, live or even on some of these YouTube streams, you'll see. I mean, this man has the ability to just have fun with the drawing, and that's where it has to be. I mean, I get, I get that corporate wants a certain vision and all that kind of good stuff. I get that. That's business. I get it. But at the end of the day, an artist really, really comes out when he or she is really having fun with the pieces that they're doing. And you go back to the days, I would say 90s, and heck, I even go back to the 60s and stuff like that. You notice that the artists there were pumping out work, and they would do like 3 or 4 books a week. Just pumping out work, pumping it out, pumping it out. And yeah, you could say to a certain degree that that was a factory, but in order to do that kind of work, you have to have fun while doing it. I honestly, I know comics are hard. I mean, I've tried to do my own. I'm not saying that. I mean, I've been successful enough to get to, Marvel or DC, but or any of the other, you know, competitors out there. But I know for a fact it's hard work producing. When you're not having fun, and you got to have fun while you're doing your work. Because if you don't, why are you doing it? So, sidetracking, but I mean, if you look at this kind of piece, these pieces that I'm coming up with, I have definitely just picked out some characters that I know that some people know, enjoy, and like, and these guys are fun. I mean, if you look at him, I mean, this is a cool character. I mean, Cable was a very innovative character when he came out. He was so different. Like I said before, when I first started this cast, he is the mix of a Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's got the huge body in it, and he's got this charisma of a Clint Eastwood. Like he just doesn't have a problem, blowing your brains away. I mean, strangely enough, if you take a look at Cable now, look at him. I mean, he looks like Terminator. He literally does. He looks like a Terminator because he's got this glowing eye right here, and he's part robotic. One of his arms is cybernetic. It's crazy, but this character is just awesome. I mean, along with a lot of the other X-Men characters that have come out over the years. And think about it. We have one of the coolest characters that was out back in 1991. Okay, came out in um, New Mutants '98. I mean, it's one of the books that I would buy originally if it wasn't so darn expensive. But Deadpool. I mean, if anybody is really a fan of Deadpool, go back to where Deadpool really was. Go back to his original days. Deadpool is not the Deadpool that he came out to be. I mean, Deadpool was a mercenary, and that's it. He looked like a stripped down version of Spider-Man with guns, but he was cool. He was really really cool. So um, again, that's one of those things where I say, have fun with the characters that you create. That's what I would do. I like coming up with cool ideas of fun, inventive characters. I put a lot of thought into things that I come up with, people that I like, because when I was younger, when I was first starting out, doing my comics and stuff like that, even doing the graphic novel that I did, Beast Nights, um, that was hard because look, my writer, he's got a vision. He has an idea of what his characters are going to look like, and I had mine. And sometimes we conflicted, but ultimately, when everything was said and done and the characters were done, they came out really really cool. But it took a lot of time to get to that development. I mean, when people see the book changes. I mean, even from book one to book two, all the way to book three, and just some of the concept work, a lot of that stuff has changed. The characters look a lot more fierce, and it was just fun creating those characters. So going back, and I keep on flip flopping and whatnot, but looking at going back to the Cable guy, he just was a fun, awesome superhero, and still is to this day. So I can't wait to see him in Deadpool because they do him right, they cast the right person, um, does the job the way they're supposed to. He's gonna be cool. He's gonna be really cool. I mean, if you look at what they did back in the day when they did the X-Men um, cartoon series, that Cable was dope. He was really cool, really really cool character. So looking at this particular piece, so this is Cable that I remember, the little Cable that I loved growing up with, and this is the Cable that had so many different things attached to him, so many different weapons, so much armory. The guns were. It looked like the Hulk should have had these guns in his hands because they were that large. Um, and obviously they're futuristic. Um, so I just wanted to come up with something really really neat. And I like Cable. I think he's really really cool. So right now I'm just adding in the extra guns that he would have on his back. So put these couple extra humongous guns matching on the rear, strapped to his back. People give Rob Liefeld a lot of flack. I know he may seem conceited, and heck, he might just be. I've never had a chance to meet him, but the guy is super, just energetic, has fun. He's determined. He's very opinionated, which that's fine. That's all good and everything. But if you go back into his career and you look at what he created, code created, all that fun stuff, he's come up with some really cool characters, and I think to a certain degree, when I look back at his career and I look at it now, I don't know if he's having fun like he used to. And I can go back to that. I don't think Rob Liefeld's having fun like he used to, because when he used to come up with his artwork, it was just it popped off the page. So yeah, I do have a certain expectation for when he does work. Like if I were to meet him one on one and I was to give him one critique, I'd be like, hey, you know what you need to do, Rob? Go back to where you were back in 1992 and get some of that energy back that you had. Because books like Profit, when I got that book, and I still purchased a few to this day. I probably have like 4 or 5 copies of that same book, and it's not any different. I mean, there's no variations or anything. I just love the book. I love Youngblood. I mean, I would be waiting, chomping at the bit, waiting for stuff like that to come out. I got like 3 or 4 copies of Youngblood #1. I even just like a year ago bought another copy of Youngblood. But that energy that he portrayed, you know, he needs to get back to those roots. He's a phenomenal talent, and I think he's great. He hasn't lost a beat. I just don't think he's having the fun that he used to have. Um, like I look at, and the reason I refer to these particular people is that they're people that I really looked up to and still do to this day. Like I look at, um, check the time. I look at Jim Lee. Jim Lee is pushing. He pushes hard. Um, I just wish that he had the time to be on a book for an extended period of time. Like he's good at getting things out the gate and showing where things can go. And Hush by far is one of my best and one of his best runs that he ever did. It was so phenomenal. I remember seeing the first couple of snippets in Wizard years ago, and I saw Killer Croc taking on Batman, and man, this is just nuts. It is so good. And I remember every month I'd be going to the stores trying to find it. I would have to go hunting in bookstores and comic book stores trying to find it because it was just such a good book. And then my brother got me a copy of the book, and I love it. It is so dang good. The artwork is ridiculous. I mean, it spans everything from his traditional cross hatching that he does to his phenomenal detail to even watercolor, you know, artwork, coloring, excuse me. And he's just so talented. I just wish that you could do it, longer term. But as your career grows, and maybe this is where Liefeld has changed. He is more on the corporate side where you have to do a lot more of the thinking than you do the creating. And as an artist, if you don't have time, you can't do both. You know, because corporate trying to think of how the numbers are working, that kind of good stuff. The creative gets lost in there. Something's got to give. I mean, look at Image as a whole back in the day. Image, a lot of things died off because you had so many creators trying to be able to do the numbers plus create the stories. It's hard to do. When they had a limited palette of people or a limited palette of characters, it was flourishing. But when you have all these creators coming up with all these side characters and trying to build too much too fast, then you got a problem. But that was a lesson learned. It worked for them for the small period of time, and I didn't even realize how short of a time that boom was, but it was short lived. But everybody's got talent. Yeah, everybody has a little bit of everything. These artists that came up when I was a kid, um, just really awesome visual people for their generation. We have new ones coming out every day, and these new folks that I watch, I I'm gonna tell you, I remember when I saw Humberto Ramos do artwork for the first time. And I remember seeing him do Gen 13, number 8. And at that time, I was like, man, J. Scott Campbell is, killing it with this Gen 13 book. It's awesome. And all of a sudden, they drop Humberto Ramos into this book. And I think my problem at the time was that I was so just engulfed with what Campbell was doing that when Ramos came on the scene, I was like, man, this sucks. I don't like it. Why are they putting another artist in there? Because for me, I'm just like, I like the consistency of the same artist doing the same stuff. Not same stuff. The same artist doing the same book. Now, if you're done with your run, cool. I get it. That's good. But to have a surprise artist come in there and just do what this other artist was doing, man, that was a rough period to watch. So seeing him do something, um, that was hard. That was a hard transition. But I ended up getting randomly, and I didn't even know it was him because he changed up his style. Randomly, I picked up this book called Impulse, and it was like a kid version of Flash. And when I saw it, I'm just like, man, this art style is just so fresh. It's so different. It moves, like every panel just moves. I felt like I was watching the 90s come back again. And then I saw this Peter Parker Spider-Man, and I just bought up every book that I saw that looked like this. And at that time I wasn't paying attention to art. I mean, I wasn't paying attention to who the artist was. I was just paying attention to the art, and I'm like, man, this moves. Like this character just is fun. And I remember seeing the big feet, the huge feet, but I'd see it in every picture. And then I started finding out who it was. I'm like, dude, this guy is ridiculous. And every time I kept on seeing him, he'd come out with more and more stuff. And I saw him on Crimson. And the Crimson book was a good mix that I actually read the story in addition to looking at the visuals and saw that this guy is on a new tear. He is coming up with a style that is going to be epic. And lo and behold, as time went on, now he's one of the most insanely sought after artists, for starting great projects and just wrecking havoc on whatever he does. Like his numbers are insane. I mean, when he comes out with a new book, people are just jumping at it. I mean, he did his own fairy tale book that he and his buddy kickstarted. Got a copy of that. Had to support him on that one. Um, was lucky enough to actually get him to do a little sketch in there too. Um, so now he's working on. He just I think finished or is finishing a run on Extraordinary X-Men, which is phenomenal. The story is great and the art is even better. Um, and he's about to do another series with like Nova and Spider-Man. I just saw it the other day. I just can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but just really really cool stuff. So those kind of things are really really cool. So again, it all comes down to being creative and having fun in your art. And those are the kind of people that when I look at them, I get inspired. I get really inspired. It's not that I want to copy their stuff because I never want to copy anybody's stuff. I've gone through my phase where I've done that portion of my learning. I don't want to ever get to that again. I want to get inspired. Like I see people and just like I'm very competitive as artists. We really are. I'm really competitive. And I'm not trying to compete against them. I just want to compete against myself to get better. So I get inspired. Like I have reference books that I've purchased, of artists, not even people that most people would look at, but I look at people like Renaissance artists to see where their thought process was, what they were trying to do, what inspired them. If you take a look at the Sistine Chapel, I mean, there's so much going on there, and you think about, okay, what was he doing? How was he trying to come up with this idea? Where was he going? What in the world caused him to, work on this piece for, I think it was 4 years, working on one large canvas. Pretty cool, huh? So, looking at like stuff like Dali, and just recently I don't have a huge fondness for it, but like abstract artists, I don't really understand their thoughts, but in with built in there, it makes sense. They it makes sense to them, and I have no qualms about saying that they have a really unique style of art. Don't understand it, but it is what it is. But I get it more so when I see it on a larger canvas, like when I go to galleries and stuff like that. I see a lot of abstract art, and I get it. It makes a lot more sense to me. It's not something that I can do because that is that's an art form that you're born with it. You don't really learn it. That's what stuff like what I do is more learned. Because you got to learn how the human body works and how it functions and how to build it. But abstract artists can make a world within a picture, within blobs of paint. It's pretty cool. And I get inspired by that because that'll make for a nice rendition of something new. So, for all intents and purposes, guys, this looks like it's going to be it for Cable. Pretty cool guy. Let's see if I can get that off. Get that guy up there. Okay. So that's Cable in his glory. I think he looks pretty cool. I like him. He's fun. A lot to color there. So again, guys, I got to get going because I got some stuff I got to do. But that would be day nine's piece. I apologize that it's running a little bit late, but we will get 10 and 11. So that will be Sunday's piece and Monday's piece done here. Hopefully, get it up today. That's my goal that I should be able to knock that out. But if you want to get your hands on this piece, the Spawn and stuff like that, please do yourself a favor and help me out. Get a copy of the book. It's a fun one. Give it away as a present. Give it away as a Christmas gift, whatever. But yeah, just go ahead and feel free to comment, like. You know what? I'm even taking suggestions right now for characters that I would love to go ahead and do that I haven't done and put them in this book. So it has been fun, guys. We're going to do another one later on, but until then, thank you for watching.